So here we are, we have a little bit of a mess because once again we are raiding our stockpiles of scrap wood. And in the past we were very happy with the project we built with totally different wood to give us a gift, which was a laptop stand, not stand, yeah, I guess it's a laptop stand. And we're going to repeat it with a different design using strictly scrap wood this time. So today we are going to build this. So we came back from the future to show you the product.
We're back from the future instead of to the future.
Yes, because we are finished already, but we haven't started yet. So we're back from the future.
Okay.
And this is just, we build it for a laptop holder, right? So you can put on the side, we intentionally didn't put anything. So you can put like the charger or the things that you want to do.
Docking station, anything like that.
And of course you can use it for anything. I mean, it can be used even for that, for example, right? To put there. People say, what's that? That is that. I mean, it can...
It's a riser shelf. So it can store things, it can raise things up, but it is intended to be a laptop riser to bring it up higher.
And while this is personalized for the person we're going to give it to, of course you could put anything there, right? It could be a Mandela, it could be anything. As always, we're going to show you everything you need to know in order to be able to build. This thing. This piece is the width we want, but it is actually deeper than we desire it, right? So we're going to remove a little bit to make it the depth we desire on the table. So, and that is our first step.
Okay.
As I'm cutting this piece to the correct dimension, I'm making a very rookie mistake. If you're watching very closely, you're going to see that I'm actually putting pressure towards the blade and towards the fence, which is something you will never want to do. If you look very close after the blade, you're going to see that the wood is closing. And that is a rookie mistake that I should have avoided. I should not have done that, but unfortunately, this is what happens. Now for the next step, you're going to see me using a router table. A router table is not required. In fact, a router is not required for this project. We are using it because we have it, and because frankly, I need some more time with it. I need to train myself. I've not used this tool enough, even though I've had it for many years. And the best way to learn how to use a tool is to actually use it. You can achieve very similar results using sanding, but since I'm trying to learn how to router, I am using it on this specific project, and I'm very happy with the outcome, even though I clearly am a very novice user of this specific tool. But there is no other way again to learn something but actually do it. So do not be dissuaded. You do not need any of the specialized equipment. Okay, so here we are. We put we really soften it. You see here, this is the edge we had before, and we really soften it using the router table.
Right.
This is something we don't do enough, and really we need to do it more because none of us is really efficient on this tool, right?
Right.
We've had this for a long time, so we didn't just purchase this, but we don't use it as often as we should be using it. So with the top finished, right now, we need to move on to the legs and aprons. The corner. A power sander makes quick work out of sanding a very flat piece of wood, and we're going to try to use it as well for the corners, as you can see here. But we found out very quickly that the power sander is very aggressive for this application. We did not like the look, so we switched from using the power sander to hand sanding to soften the corners. This is totally a matter of taste. There is not a right or wrong way to do this. You just do it the best way you like it, and it will be absolutely fine.
It's too aggressive.
So we want to soften the corners as well, and we found out that our power sander was too aggressive for the look we were going. So we're going to do the same thing to all four corners. Of course, one of the disadvantages of using scrap wood is that they will not be the same dimension, thickness, width, whatever, right? And this is the dimension we want width-wise for our apron and legs. And we don't have but this piece, and that is not enough wood. So what we're going to do, we don't know the dimension of this wood as we normally don't, right?
Right.
So we're going to put it here, raise our blade, and now move our fence And now we know that when we cut our scrap, they're going to be all the same dimension. Make sure that it's easy to move when you do that, right?
Right, because if you put it too close, then it's too tight and it will bind the blade, correct?
Correct. So we're going to do that.
So we'll rip those two. That's ripping, right?
Yeah, I need a... Our eyes are very sensitive to proportions. So you don't need to measure and remeasure things. Once you find a dimension you like, you can use this method I'm showing you here to make other pieces the same dimension if you do not have enough. So do not fret the measuring. We rarely measure in this channel, only under very special conditions. And resawing a piece of wood like that is a very easy and economical way to solve the problem. Okay, we are going to repeat that on the other board, and that will give us 3 boards that have the same thickness, and those will be enough for us to finish our project. All right, and as you can see, these are all the same dimension, right? And one of the easiest way, of course, is vision. You can see that they are the same dimension, but the other part is one of the most sensitive tools you have is your finger, right? You can detect even smaller than 1/64th of variation with your fingertip. And here, I mean, touch it here, Elpida, you can see it is very smooth. Yep. Excellent. Did you press record?
Yes, we have pressed record. Excellent.
So we decided to make some simple legs. And what we're going to do, we're going to make a 45 here, and we have marked where we want it. We're going to have to make 4 of these, right?
That's not what you want to do.
No. So you definitely don't need 2 saws to do this, but what happens, you have 2. So we don't want to go back and forward in the 45 and the 90. So we're going to use the other saw to cut our 90 degree, right?
And what we've done is line up that piece so that we now have the 45 degree lined up with where we cut, and now we're going to cut the other 90 degree angle to make the 2 legs, right?
Right.
And again, you want to make sure that you are flush with your fence.
And theoretically, this should be the same now.
Theoretically.
And they indeed are.
Excellent.
So we need to do that 2 more times.
Right.
Or 1 more time, 2 more times.
1 more time, the process to make 2 more legs. How's
Right,
that?
and we won't get 2 out of this, so.
Okay. Ready?
So once again, we're going to use the sled for this cut because it's a safe way to do it. You can actually have your hands there, that's safe there.
I know, but it's just a stretch for my hands. So I'm
Okay.
using this to help hold it in place because it's easier for my hands.
Okay. This is by far, I think, a tool that we've used the most since we made it. Don't you agree?
Oh. It's very handy, and yes, it definitely does what we need it to do, makes cuts more safe. So
You can very clearly see the utility of the sled here, as it allows us to very quickly and very safely make those cuts in small pieces that otherwise would be very difficult. So we started with our legs in a shape like that, and of course we did not like it that pointy, right? So we remove a piece to make it flat, as you can see here. But then we decided we also wanted it to be narrower, because we think it will look better for our specific purpose. So with 2 cuts, we took a really, I don't want to say useless, but hard to use piece of scrap and made legs out of it.
So now that we have all 4 of the legs made, and we've also cut the aprons to the correct length, we're taking a little bit of sandpaper and rounding the legs off so that they will match the tabletop and this rounded edges.
Here is another tool that, while nice to have, is by no means necessary. We have a belt sander, which makes rounding the edges much easier without using the router if you don't have a router. But if you don't have a sanding tool like this, you can hand sand and have a very similar result. It just takes a little longer to achieve, and time is of the essence for us because we try to make these videos quickly enough so we can edit them and post them for you to see every week. But absolutely not necessary if you do not have it in your arsenal. Have you started? For this specific project, pocket holes are the best connection we can make, or the easiest, I guess. But rather, like you can use dowels and all kinds of things. We have a pocket hole thing, and we're using it.
A pocket hole thing.
Yeah.
And so to be a little more specific, this is the skirting for the legs. So this is the skirt, these are the two legs. What we've got in the jig hole maker right here is this one. And then the two holes will go here and here, and that's gonna make the two sides.
Now we need to remove this clamp.
So we're set up here with this clamp. It's a specialized Craig jig clamp that helps hold your piece in place with this so that it goes into one of the holes you've drilled, and make sure that you get a good alignment.
Do you want me to use it again, or do you think you're good now?
And as you can see, we also clamped the piece to the table to ensure that it didn't move around while we're drilling those Craig style screws in.
And for all those Hercules haters, since we got the Hercules, we've been using it almost every day.
Yeah, it's been a really good tool.
Especially for mechanics, for carry repair as well.
As you can see, that was a really smooth. It just went right in and everything's lined up really well. And so we're going to complete that 3 more times, and we'll have the 2 legs. So because we want this to look finished, we are going to put dowels into the Craig screw holes. Just put a little bit of glue in there. You're going to use these happen to be 3/8 inch dowels. They go in, and then you can use a flush cut saw. Come in here.
Need to do some sanding afterwards.
Okay. And so we'll do that for all of those pocket holes. So what we're doing here is using that paddle bit to drill the hole through the top of
The bottom of the top.
right of the stand. So this is actually the bottom, and that's why we marked it, and it's got a little bit of a blowout, but that's why we've done it on the bottom, and that'll be easily removed with sanding paper. And so we're doing all 4 of those, and as you can see, we did mark where the legs are supposed to go. That we had for a long time, but we've been using them quite a bit lately, right?
Yeah, I really like them.
Yep.
Sorry, no.
We have a flagpole?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, we don't.
So what we did do was to go ahead and drill these holes with that paddle bit, put some glue on the dowel, inserted the dowel into the hole, and then we're going to flush cut it, or really close to flush cut, so that we can then sand it down flush with the top. And we're putting some tape on either side to just add a layer of protection for that top with the saw blade.
Now this, you could use pocket screws the way we connected the legs to the apron, to connect the apron to the top, but we decided to go this route.
Right. And one of the reasons that drove the decision is just because the top is a little bit thinner than the legs, and so we didn't want to run the risk of anything coming through. And as you can see, that's going to be real nice. It'll be a nice little detail for the top of this stand.
An orbital sander is one of those wonderful tools to have, and I really recommend it. It's one of the first tools you purchase. In this case, we're using our cordless sander because we really like it, and this hard cordless sander has worked really well for us. It does a very great job in providing very nice finish and also creating roundovers, and as you have seen in this episode, we have used it for both of those specific tasks exclusively this time around in this specific project. So here we are. We finished assembling it, and this is the look we're going for. And again, now it's a matter of taste. You can finish it here any way you want. You can paint it, or polish it or whatever. Mrs. DIY wants to stain it, so we're going to stain it. We like to put paper down to protect our bench when we stain, but Mrs. DIY has selected her stain, and like always, I always like the first few swipes because it shows the dramatic change in the wood, right?
Yeah.
And there we go. If you have a laser, personalization is a great thing you can add to your DIY projects. Here you see our laser monogramming the project we just finished because we intend to give it as a gift. Now, if you have the laser, of course, this doesn't add any extra cost, but it makes the project look much more professional and definitely make it more special if you give it for a gift. Another optional step will be to use some poly on this project, and we're going to do that. Again, this is optional. Some people do not like this, seeing it as a stain defect. I like it, I see it as a feature. Again, it's a matter of personal preference. You can use pre-stain to avoid this. I really like the way that looks. The same way with the dowels. Some people don't like this. I think it's a very nice detail. So again, a lot of matters of preferences on how you want to do things. So well, friends, this is our project for today. And again, the finish is up to you. You can do different things to it. If you liked this project, we will appreciate a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the other button twice. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know what other types of projects you would like to see in our channel. From Professor DIY, Elpida, and Mrs. DIY, let's build something together.